Uh, it's been a while. We we said every week we would post. It's been more than a week, and I'm sure you guys are not counting, but uh, I still want to notice for myself because you would think it shouldn't be that hard to get 15 minutes to talk per week, and especially if you don't have like a conventional 9 to 5. Uh, but for some reason, it has been challenging for us to keep sort of a schedule there. Every week we talk 15 minutes. Why is that?
I'll tell you part of why that is. Part of that is because we have two children who are unschooled and sometimes are needy for attention and direction and just are clingy. And another part of that is we're getting ready to go to the States in 2.5 weeks, and we're planning our retreat in Ibiza, and we're also kind of planning flow style talks and workshops and other retreats in Europe and maybe in the States. And that's not just us, but that's with a few other people. So it's a lot of combined action all happening at once. And we're trying to pack in the last things of, Bali tours while we're still here, like get to the Gillies and see people and all of this. So it's fairly full on right now.
Yeah, when is it ever not full on? But right now it is actually like the structure. The structure of non-structure really is like sort of in control of our lives right now. And it's a choice. We don't. That doesn't happen to us. It's like so. There is a certain. The more you want to do, the more you give up. I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems like right now, anyways, to me, that we have to give up some of the flow to and put more like put the things that we want to do in a rigid frame, but maybe that's not even true. Now why I'm saying that, I feel like it's not. That is what we're doing, and that's why it's sort of hard at times to get it all crammed in. But I'm not quite sure right now how to access total flow in this endeavor.
Nor am I.
So it's more, again, it's like a process. It's a journey. You go in there and you feel like this is all play, this is all fun, and you load tons of fun and play on your plate, and then you're sitting there trying to eat it, and you're like, oh my god, I'm so full, and you're stuffing yourself, and it's painful, and that is like the stress or over scheduling or doing too much, and then you notice, step back, and like, oh my god, that is a little bit too much. So and then at least that's how we tend to do it. Then we change it around again, like, okay, let's connect again with. Who are we? Where's the flow? Let's go back in the flow and see where the flow takes us. So it's not a rigid thing. The flow, believe it or not, is not a rigid thing. The flow is actually very flexible, So it's not. You can, as soon as we try, and it's kind of like you make a river into like a canal. Then it's just not the same. Like a live river, it goes here and there. It has space on the outside, it has more life inside, and it's very interesting and diverse. But to be quicker and get the water from A to B, you can build a canal and get that taken care of, checked off the list.
Yeah. But I feel also like the past day and a half, there's been things happening in the flow without making it more rigid. We've accessed a few things that we want and need to access and haven't been able to for a little while. It feels like it's like I've come back into this really high space again, at this feeling of like, oh, I'm remembering how expansive I can be and how what the flow can feel like if I allow it. So a few days ago I was really consciously kind of trying to step out of that intense mind function, schedule, program, arrange, organize. And I didn't really step very hard out of it, but I just had the thought that maybe I should lighten up a little bit, and I think that really softened things and allows for more flow.
Take the
Space.
serious aspect out
Take
of
the
it. Huh?
serious aspect
I
out,
noticed
yeah.
that too. That I get serious. I get short. And yeah, thank you. This is exactly it. You know, it's a process. It goes from like the flow and then to the unflow, and then when it's unflow, you're like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And then you remember, and I think our what focus would be to notice that, not so much to try anything about it, but to notice what is happening. And since we're doing it consciously, we catch that disbalance fast. I feel like it anyways, and it reveals itself by me being short, by me being impatient, and especially when it comes to the kids. You know, my tolerance goes away, and then when I do allow myself to like, oh, they're actually just showing me that I'm not in the flow, and I breathe and connect, and I remember again, oh, actually I'm here to play, and then I'm making time to be consciously and all the way there with the children, and then the children they have me, and they are all happy and joyful again.
And then they need a lot less of you because there's so much of you at that moment, so much presence and here-ness that then when that time is shared, then that creates a lot more space. They go, oh, filled up, okay, don't need to come every 3.5 minutes and
Yeah, it seems like
get something.
if you provide the flow, or if you don't provide it, actually it is there. If I surrender to the flow that I am, then everyone else is flowing a lot easier too. Like if I get stuck, everyone else in the family is stuck. We're so interconnected in the family. If there's like non-flowing going on, it's contagious, and especially if the parents get stuck, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Because the children usually they flow if we flow.
At our house, anyway.
Yeah, right. I'm talking our experience, but yeah, right. And then I also enjoy myself more. If I'm there playing with the children, I connect with that childlike, playful energy again, and I remember that this is what I'm actually doing here. I'm experiencing something. I choose to experiencing myself in a confined form on this planet, and I can choose which way I want to go. Do I want to be like all rigid and stern and serious about it, and focus on the stuff that doesn't work, or will I allow myself to be flowing and be playful and be creative in the process? I mean, creative either which way, but consciously creative, like as what I refer to life artistry, as a life artist, and consciously shaping the canvas of life experience, life as an experience. And the children really. They have a way easier time to stay in their already naturally connected space. If I allow myself to be there too, I can meet them there on the same level.
This actually is making me think of what we were talking about earlier today that I can't really tell. It feels a little off topic, but it's totally on topic too. But it's
there's no topic.
Oh, and there's no topic.
We didn't choose a topic. Not yet.
We're talking about flow. We're talking about the energetics of, about life, about what's around us. And I was having a conversation. We were in conversation with a few people this morning about, she'd been at the beach and talking about some of the local people coming and digging a deep hole in the sand and burying the trash in the sand and covering it back up. And she was realizing that she can look outside of herself and say, how can you do such a thing? But instead she chose to say, okay, if we're all connected and this is a reflection of me, what is it that I'm burying deep in the sand? Why does this bother me so much? These kinds of things. And this conversation then morphed a little bit into the energy of the trash even that's being buried, or the intention with which it's buried, these kinds of things. That
what is trash really, huh?
What is trash? It's something that's held in a low vibration, I think, that is. So I'm going to try to, how do I was remembering the story from Pisak, There were a group of people who wanted to go clean up trash at the river. And they were doing it, with the best intentions, I'd say, but coming from a place of fear and anger. And their idea was to clean up the space because Mother Nature deserves to be clean. And there's a little bit of the energy of the terrible carelessness, right? That people just leave their stuff all over the place and it flows into the rivers and into the ocean. All of this victim helplessness. And I just started talking about this feeling that I remember having really for the first time, and that was that we can stand by the river and look at the trash in the river, and we can mirror that vibration. What we call it is trash. It's stuck energy. It's something that nobody wants to look at or deal with, and we can look at that and we can feel the panic around the trash that's there. This is too much. I'm not being really clear. We can feel the panic around that, or we can step back and say, okay, this is what is. There is garbage there in the river, and maybe if I can come more and more from my heart, I can actually start to look at the world around me in shades of love. And maybe at some point I can, or we can, look at what's happening, and instead of bringing ourselves down to that low vibration that is fear and anger, that is the same vibration as the trash that's in the river, if we can rise up above that and hold a love vibration while gazing at this part of life that is floating in the river, that one day, if we reach critical mass, the tipping point, every piece of plastic that we see in the river, if enough of us are holding love, I think that it could transform into love, into flowing water, into moving energy instead of stuck energy. And I don't really know what that would look like, but I feel like it has to do with intention and vibration. And what I said this morning was so clear, and now it's not quite the same, but I shared this story about the Monroe Institute, where you can learn to bend metal, and you hold a fork and you go into a meditative state, and as you're looking at this fork, you say, I see you. You are a fork. We have all agreed that you are a fork made of metal. This is the common fact, right? But when you get to this meditative state and you say to the fork, what are you in your true essence? I give you permission, total freedom to express yourself however you want to be expressed. The fork can curl up and bend and expands. It expands its particles and it becomes malleable, movable, and it can move and express. And I think this can happen for garbage too. I think that if it's not held in that place of anger and low vibration, if it's given the space to express, it might just transform into something really beautiful when we all hold beauty in our hearts.
Wow. But why not? Like this is, it's not always just pure clarity, how stuff moves through us. Sometimes there is some garbage there, that needs to be navigated around. So in my experience, there would be a stuckness in us if we want to look at garbage out there. And if we call our stuckness inside garbage, and we hate it, and we want to have it go away, and like, why does anyone produce it, and who is doing that anyways? I want to invite us all to look at the stuckness or the garbage in us. Also, same way of like, oh my God, you got stuck, like, oh, how can I help you unstuck? And listen, not like, oh, I have to, whatever it takes, I have to remove this stuff and I have to tear it out of me or hide it or cover it up, but to not even look at it as garbage. Come from a place of not knowing, of not defining yet. Who knows? What does that mean anyway, garbage? Maybe there's some energy that is not flowing. So well, so what do you do with energy that is not flowing? Are you going to yell at it? Are you going to hate it? Or you just invite it or look at it like, how can I help you so you can flow again? And then you do whatever it takes, like, oh, here we go. But again, from that place of love and curiosity and playfulness, and help that little river that gets stuck a little bit to flow again. Or maybe it's even okay to be stuck at times, Why not? The river can be stuck, and then you just sit there and watch the river deal with the stuckness, and maybe at some point it'll just find a new bed and goes around it, the stuckness, So there's so many ways of not jumping the gun and trying and forcing it away. Because trying and forcing always has a certain aggressive element in it, and I feel like we are entering a new paradigm of where we don't work with tools that are aggressive anymore. We'll work more with flow and with allowing things to move and invite change.
And I just want to add that I don't mean that a person shouldn't go to the river and pick up plastic bottles if they are inspired to do that. But for me, what I realize is that coming from that place of inspiration, wow, I want to go down to the river and I want to clean up a little bit because it feels really good. And maybe it's going to be a meditative time for me, and it's going to look prettier there, and it's so amazing to be able to offer this kind of service. That's a way to come to the trash with love. But to go there with the anger for the people who left it there, or the fear for the river who has to experience it, regardless if you pick up the bottles or not, it's not going to change the river or the energy that's getting stuck there. It has to, for transformation, that energy has to be transformed, and we have to, if we want to be a part of it, then we have to help transform it by coming there in transformation or in a place of inspiration where we can really hold ourselves and that river and that trash all in love all at the same time, because that is going to allow space for that river to heal and for that trash to also transform.
Totally, yeah. I mean, that is very important. I'm glad you said that. I wasn't thinking of that, but it is no critique of what people do, and it's also even okay to approach that as political activism and get all your anger out at some politician or at the bottles or people that throw bottles in rivers. It's not that it's wrong. We're just offering or experiencing in ourselves, like what happens if you shift from that anger to somebody out there to like, oh, what are we feeling, and maybe we want to go down there and clean up the river because we love to do it, yeah. Because if we would allow ourselves to do what we really love, we wouldn't have to get so upset about other people doing the same thing. That you see that a lot of people are getting angry at us because we live a life that we choose, and they actually because they don't understand, or because they want to regulate and their lives, or they feel the need to express themselves in limited ways, they feel anger towards people that don't do that. So I would say if you all would just allow ourselves to engage with the flow, we could also be a little more peaceful with each other.
Yeah.
Because why would we yell at each other if we all do what we love? We'd be like happy.
There it is.
There you go. That's enough, huh?
That's good.
Enough talk.
Yeah.
So enjoy your flow or your non-flow.
Yeah, whichever. It's all good.
And what I realized, and I want to finish that with this short, quick sentence. I heard like somebody telling me good luck with that, and I noticed, it has nothing to do with luck or unluck. When you show up all the way, you just be. There's no luck or no luck. And then I was like, what are we gonna say now? And what came to me, it's like now it's all like either I honor you, like the namaste kind of style, or I love you.
Simple, huh? I love
Very
you.
simple, yeah. All right, here we go. Until next week or whatever that morphs into.